And now, broadcasting from Titletown, USA, here's Joe Simon.
I caught myself saying this the other day. Where is the money going to come from for that? Amazing. Probably a phrase that many Americans today are having. Insert where necessary. And today we're focusing on long-term care because that's what we do over here. It's a shadow that is out there that has big costs to it. And as we all age, we change and things happen. And sometimes we just can't put off not seeing doctors, not getting special care. It's beyond what our spouse can do for us, either mentally or physically or financially. It's long-term care in a qualified environment with people that are, in many cases, it's truly a ministry to them for what they provide minute by minute for people at different parts of their life. And oh, by the way, it's not always the really old people that are receiving long-term care treatment, benefits, services. It could be people as young as their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Not always into your 70s, 80s, and 90s. That's the world we live in today. And by the way, the statistics are showing us we're living longer because of healthcare and medical procedures and breakthroughs that are taking place. And guess what? It's all expensive. That's part of the concern, I think. One of the number one concerns we have in America today is outliving our retirement paycheck. Not living until we're 77 or 87, but 107. And now what? So let's throw this long-term care element in. Let's clear the board and just focus on this today. As we know, it's a piece-by-piece process when we do this kind of planning, have this kind of conversation. And for you that want to self-insure, more power to you. Go for it. But for you that are a little concerned or greatly concerned because of maybe past experiences, this is the conversation today that you've been looking for. I can tell you that through the last 5, 6, 7 years, really since the Pension Protection Act 2.0 came into play, that there have been some new things, some new tools introduced to the long-term care world that we should all be rejoicing about. What it's done is it's opened up the door for us to get into our IRAs, to our 401ks, and yes, even our HSAs, using those dollars that are tax deferred, never been taxed, and can walk over the bridge to paying premiums for a tax qualified long-term care policy without penalty. You will eventually pay some taxes on that as a long-term care benefit in the way it's distributed to you. And there are other strings attached, so to speak, but it's not a big fat tax penalty moving this money over to a long-term care tax qualified plan. That's a breakthrough. If you haven't looked at the numbers, if you haven't looked at how this works for you, not your friend, not the person in your golf club or your neighbor, but you, how your dollars at your age with your underwriting, how this sort of policy could work for you, today's your day to engage. Write it down. I need to look at a tax qualified long-term care policy. And your advisor will ask you about all of your assets, your brokerage account, your 401k, your IRA. They should be asking about your HSA, all of those wonderful things where money has accumulated and you've done a fabulous job saving in. But now we have other options and other considerations. And let's call this beneficial money. That's exciting to me because beneficial money is money that, repeat after me, we can do more than one thing with at the same time. You've heard me say this before. Beneficial money. How about money that we can use for our saving into our retirement years, but if things come along and change, and the plan isn't exactly the way we thought it would be, ever hear that before? And now we have to make some changes on the move, on the run. Wouldn't it be nice to have some dollars in a long-term care policy to pay for big costs involved with great quality care? Let's think about that one for a sec. What I want to do is review some of a summary of some of the things that I think people are finding interesting as we learn more about where these dollars can come from when we talk about a long-term care insurance policy as a tax-qualified policy. And we mentioned tax-qualified long-term care policy because there are certain guidelines, which is good for the industry and good for you. It's all about longevity and having a policy that's going to be there with a reputable carrier as time goes on, right? That just makes sense. We want a healthy insurance carrier who knows how to underwrite and has a track record of successfully underwriting, retaining policies, and then eventually paying claims. That's what this is all about, with no questions asked. It's pretty simple how to qualify for long-term care claims, the 6 activities of daily living. And usually at least 2 of those are something that can't be working for you when you file that claim, and they ask the questions and do the tests with the qualified medical people on both sides to really come to that conclusion. I think that's important to talk about because too many times we hear people say it's very expensive and they never pay. And it's been my personal experience with my clients that it isn't cheap and they do pay thousands of dollars. For example, my latest case, a 92-year-old woman, $36,000 in premium over a 20-year period of time, and into her mid to late 80s for 5 years, they paid over $110,000 per year, so roughly over $500,000 that she bought with $30,000 to $36,000 in premium. They do pay. That wasn't cheap, but they do pay, and it was a huge relief. In fact, her daughter told me, I think we made money having this policy in place. Now, let me footnote that by saying by making money, she never had to tap into her retirement accounts. She had a pension plan as a retired teacher. The long-term care paid for all of the needs she had while she was in the facility. 100%. As long as she qualified with those 2 out of 6 activities of daily living. And they came in and they tested her annually. An RN came in that was hired by the insurance company that then spoke with her doctors and then went back, and the insurance company went through what they do to make sure that we have a qualified participant receiving qualified thousands of dollars that are tax-free. It truly is an amazing story that people don't hear the full extent of. They hear bits and pieces from other people. So that's a wonderful thing we're talking about here today, and this Pension Act, or the Secure Act 2.0, really is an amazing thing that happened by opening the doors. Let's talk about some tax benefits to you. We can do that 1035 exchange from your 401k, your IRA, or your HSA into your tax qualified long-term care policy. You can see those numbers when your advisor works with you on getting the proper amount of coverage for the proper amount of money that could go in. It could be a lump sum period. It could be over a long period of time. It could be over a 5 to 10 year period of time, or for the rest of your life type of payment process. It's really up to you. There are tax benefits and possibly stretching that out if you're concerned about Medicare/IRMA. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But this is why we want to have one-on-one conversations many times involving your CPA tax preparer who knows your numbers intimately. It's an exciting conversation when you see it come all together. I know it's hard to believe, but it is exciting to see this being solved for you, for people that thought there was no hope for covering this. A couple of things I want to address here is we talked about the tax benefits to you and the eligible long-term care premiums If you're itemizing, you're an individual and you're itemizing your deductions on a Schedule A, they break this down by age. This is as of 2026, the tax year 2026. So it's dated material that will continue to change by the year in the tax code. Just keep that in mind. But let's say you're 51 to 60 years old. The limit of premium that you could just use out of pocket, not even from your qualified sources, as mentioned before, is up to $1,860 just out of pocket, as long as you're filing that Schedule A. If you're someone 61 to 70, it's $4,960. That's an eligible tax deduction. If you're doing that itemizing on a Schedule A out of take-home dollars, not qualified dollars from the IRA, the 401k, the HSA. If you're 71 or older, this number is significant. It's $6,200 per year is eligible for that long-term tax qualified long-term care premium per year. So all of a sudden, we came up with some beneficial money for you. Money that's over there that we're taking over here that can do not only can grow for retirement money purposes, but can also pay for and have a safety net called long-term care insurance in place. And you can do both. Again, we have to see the illustrations per case, but it truly can happen that way. More than one thing at the same time. Hey, Main Street business owners, there are some interesting benefits here for you as well. Employer-paid long-term care is treated as an accident and health plan. Employer-paid premium deductible by employer subject to reasonable compensation rules. Not itemized to eligible long-term care premiums. Employer-paid premium is not included in employee's income. Employer may also pay premium for spouse, retirees, and eligible tax dependents. Sounds like you can pick and choose and create a key person plan out of this. Now, why would a 40-year-old be interested in something like this if you offered it to them, Ms. Business Owner? They probably wouldn't. But what about your 55-year-old employee, your 65-year-old employee? Now this becomes a compelling conversation to offer them. Very interesting. And oh, by the way, it's eligible for you too, the owner, the partners. Something to think about. There was something else I wanted to talk to you about here. We talked about the premium sources. We talked about being an individual and paying this if you're itemizing. We talked about being a C Corp owner from Main Street USA. Mentioned that C-suite executive benefit for C Corporation. It also works for other corporations. The tax benefits just change slightly for you as a business owner. Again, a deeper discussion to have. And here's the last one that I wanted to talk about. So you're self-employed. So you say you're self-employed. There's tax treatment of tax beneficial treatment for the premium for self-employed tax payers. You're eligible for a self-employed health insurance deduction, which is taken on the appropriate schedule IRS Form 1040. Deduction is limited to the lesser of actual premium paid or eligible long-term care premiums. Tax treatment if you're an S Corp, LLC, or partnership and you want to pay premiums. Employer-paid premiums for owners and their spouses are deductible by the employer. Deductible premium is included in the gross income of owners, partners, their spouses, and eligible tax dependents. Employer-paid premium for non-owner employees, their spouses, and retirees follow the same rules as we mentioned before if you're a C corporation. We've covered a lot here today. I get it. The point here today is there's a lifeline here. There's beneficial money available, another source that we can tap into and have it doing more than one thing for you and buying multiples of long-term care benefits. It's an amazing thing. I love talking about it. We must continue to talk about this and investigate it and get into it. So without further ado, have a prosperous day and we'll talk again soon. Thank you for your time. And please visit my website that is joesimon.solutions, joesimon.solutions. Solutions for our archives and more interesting lessons on just this subject.
You've been listening to the Joe Simon Podcast. Big ideas with powerful stories and real-time solutions. Business succession planning, executive benefits, employee benefits, tax beneficial savings, and more. Remember, information discussed here today is dated and not specific to your situation. Always seek personal counsel from qualified advisors. Joe Simon is a licensed insurance agent in the state of Wisconsin. Licensed to advise on accident and health, life insurance, disability insurance and annuities, as well as qualified long-term care insurance.